Hey, you Stygian dogs, it's October 29th, and this marks the release of issue number 2 of Conan, Scourge of the Serpent, from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures. Titled Conan, Scourge of the Serpent Part 2, Words of Power, Jim Zub and Evangel continue their exploration of Robert E. Howard's The Shadow Kingdom, The God in the Bull, and The Haunter of the Ring. I'll take my usual thorough look at the book, plus we'll pair some wonderful images with one of my favorite parts of Howard's The Shadow Kingdom. But before that, while you go out and buy it, let's take a moment to recap last month's issue and then take a look at this month's covers. Gonar the Seeker speaks of warriors preparing to quest upon time's great expanse. No past, no future. Now is all. Time and space exist not. All things that ever were, are, or ever will be transpire now. A clarion call sounds across the ages. Kanama Ka Lajarama. For King Kull of Velusia in the Thurian Age, a shadow kingdom is revealed. In the Hyborian Age, a young Conan of Samaria is set to confront a god in a bowl, as Professor Kirowan is haunted by a ring's emerald eye in the vision of a devil or a goddess. A grand purpose for 3 men of 3 different eras, their fates twisting together like snakes in a pit. Taking a look at this month's covers, here's cover A from E.M. Gist plus The Virgin. Cover B from Alan Qua, it's great. Here's cover C by Maria Wolf, and Ian Churchill's excellent cover D. And finally, Eric Donovan's FOC variant. This is a nice surprise. Now, onto the issue itself. And here we go. I'll flip through the book, present a few close-ups of panels. I'll try not to read too much verbatim, but I will outline the general plot and happenings. I want you to be curious and to grab your own copy. Seriously, I implore you, buy these comics. I want to give you a sense of how things look and to hopefully convey my excitement and a few summary thoughts. But be warned, if you want a pure reading experience, and I know you do, I would caution you about spoilers. If inclined, feel free to skip ahead to the conclusion. My review there will be generally spoiler-free. On the inside cover is an advertisement for a new era of bravery and heroism. These are all of the trade paperback and omnibus collections you should probably have on your bookshelf. After that, credits for the teams at Heroic Signatures and Titan Comics. Turning the page, The Numidian Chronicles, a map for wayfinding and a summary of events thus far. Time and space exist not. All things that ever were, King Kull in his Thurian Age. All things that are, Conan in the antique house of Calian Publico. All things that ever will be, occult investigator John Kirowan in the Boston home of James Gordon. All things transpire now. Conan the Thief stands questioned by Inquisitor Demetrio. While not yet accused of killing Calian Publico, his presence must be explained. How did he come to be sneaking about the museum? His explanation of entry suggests an insider's knowledge, a plan, a target. Dionysus of the Nemalian Watch lobs accusations and seeks to extract a confession. Demetrio silences him. Never has he heard of a Cimmerian killing a man in this manner. Why strangle when a sword strike is so much quicker? Conan agrees. What would they take him for? Some kind of traitorous snake? Conan, Scourge of the Serpent Part 2, Words of Power. Grim Jim Zub writer, Ironclad Evangel artist, Jumping Jao Canola color artist, Rascally Richard Starkings and Comicrafts Titanic Tyler Smith lettering, Calamitous Chris Butera editor. Valka. Kull stands above the body of a man with the head of a serpent, a servant of the serpent god. Brule reassures the king, Counselor 2 still sleeps. 'Tis a conspiracy that twists ever tighter. These snakemen, sorcerous fiends that can don the face of anyone they wish to. Echoes from a bygone age of war. A war that strikes dim chords in the soul mind that never dies. When eons ago men fought grisly beings of the elder universe, those shape-changers and fiends who once ruled the world finally brought low after centuries of bloody battle. What a wonderful depiction of one of the most imaginative moments from Robert E. Howard's The Shadow Kingdom. Mankind's epic battle against the likes of the Wolf People, Batmen, Harpies, and the Serpent Men. I love it. There is truth to the legends, and now the serpentine fiends return as men grow soft and degenerate, forgetting what is true and what is false. As Brule leaves to dispose of the doppelganger, Kull contemplates the serpent conspiracy. In the Hyborian Age, a Stygian sarcophagus is inspected, marked by a coiled serpent devouring its own tail. The sign of Set. John Kirowan recoils from a strange vision, a communication from outside the physical realm, a warning from beyond, a danger to all. Evelyn Gordon's terrifying dreams. Is she descending into madness? Kirowan must know more. She speaks of peering into a mirror, a face not quite her own staring back, and the echo of a sound she dares not hear. Brule swiftly returns from his errand and distracts a wary Kull. A blur of movement and glint of steel reveals friend as foe. The investigation into Colleen Publico's death takes a curious turn as Astrius Botanius, the reason for Conan's presence this night, slinks from the shadows. It is he who had hired Conan to steal a Zamorian goblet. Demetrio grants discretion to settle matters. Botanius declines and declares that he knows him not. A betrayal that makes the Cimmerian see scarlet. A red rage of removal and confusion ensues. Conan is too swift, too strong, too savage. In the Thurian Age, the King of Volusia faces off with this friend to foe, fangs of the serpent finding their home. The facade fades. A serpent man lay dead. As from the shadows Brule approaches, how is Kull to know if a true man stands before him? Brule explains, no snake man may wear the sign of the dragon, nor speak these precious words of power. Ka nama ka lajurama. The words ring through the ages, ancient, primordial, a tongue from beyond time. Cursed words and a cursed ring. Evelyn swears to end it here. Conan stands amidst crimson corpses, and the call, Kanama Ka Lajurama. Brule's words, echoing through the ages, bring a hell-bent screech. The god has a cursed, long neck. 'Tis a silent killer that awaits Conan in the dark. To be continued. So ends issue number 2 of Conan, Scourge of the Serpent. I enjoyed this one. Evangel's art continues to be spectacular. That magnificent 2-page spread, man, it's just awesome. Jim Zub's faithful adaptation of Howard's The Shadow Kingdom, The God in the Bowl, and The Haunter of the Ring is pretty remarkable, and you can feel the crescendo leading to his own creative flourish really starting to build. As someone who's very familiar with these stories, I find myself pleased with Zub's approach here, though I feel myself waiting for his vision for the event series to be fully realized. That said, the close of this issue leaves me feeling like we're on the cusp of something pretty cool in issue number 3. Stay tuned. On the opposite page is an advertisement for Conan, Battle of the Black Stone action figure. Be sure to check out my review. I'll note that the pre-order is actually closed, so you'll need to try your luck with the retail market. Expect to start seeing the figure late December or early January. Turning the page, we get this month's Covers Gallery. After the Covers Gallery Part 2 in this 4-part essay series by Jeffrey Shanks. This one is titled Shadows of the Serpent, Howard, Kull, and the Birth of Sword and Sorcery. The essay is prefaced with a quote from Howard's The Shadow Kingdom. Always he had seen their faces as masks, but now he seemed to see the smiling face fade like smoke, and the frightful jaws of a serpent gaping there. The Shadow Kingdom appeared in the August 1929 issue of Weird Tales, and Jeff notes that it was something refreshingly new for readers. The story marks the first appearance of King Kull of Valusia and represents the first clear example of what we now call sword and sorcery. Working out new artistic territory, Howard eschewed chivalric ornament and sentimentality, replacing them with violent realism imbued with an almost dreamlike filter stemming from his growing fascination with theosophy and metaphysics. Incorporating elements of fringe alternative history and occult sources, Howard blended medievalist adventure and the supernatural to create a hybrid genre we now call sword and sorcery. Jeff notes that at the core of this story lies the metaphor of masks, the serpent men who don the appearances of his court, things of illusion, existent only in the shadows and mockeries of substance. Shanks references Patrice Lunet's argument that the story's theme draws on Howard's fascination with the biblical figure of King Saul, forever beleaguered by unseen foes, and Kull, a giant chained, surrounded by whispers and shadows. Jeff goes on to reference Brule the Spear Slayer, Kull's staunchest ally, who, if the Serpent Men embodied treachery and hidden corruption, Brule represents the opposite: loyalty, frankness, and courage. The legacy of the Shadow Kingdom reverberates through Howard's wider mythos, with serpent imagery and the coils of Set winding their way throughout the tapestry of Howard's work. Jeff closes by noting how nearly a century later, the Shadow Kingdom still resonates with readers. The Serpent Men, representing the timeless fears of corruption, treachery, and the masks that hide human malice, make the Shadow Kingdom as relevant today as it was to readers in 1929. The themes strike home, especially as the Serpent God Set once more rises to challenge them. As always, Jeffrey Shanks' essays are a must-read. Opposite the Shanks essay is an advertisement for the beautifully illustrated The Tower of the Elephant. And on the back cover, a new chapter of the Titan Comics and Heroic Signature's massive narrative event, Scourge of the Serpent, Spawn of the Serpent God. This is a tie-in novel from Tim Wagoner, available for pre-order now. One of my favorite parts of this month's issue has got to be Evangel's wonderful 2-page spread depicting ancient man's battle against the horrors of the Elder Universe. Jim Zub, like Roy Thomas before him, addresses this history a little out of sequence compared to events in Robert E. Howard's The Shadow Kingdom, but in both instances it makes sense from a storytelling perspective. Channeling Jeffrey Shanks' essay on the Shadow Kingdom and the phrase Kanamaka Lajarama for inspiration, I thought I'd read the following evocative passages from Howard's original while presenting imagery from Roy Thomas and Marie and John Severin's 1971 Kull the Conqueror No. 2, presented again in black and white in Kull and the Barbarians No. 1, thanks Grammaticus, that's from 1975, Russ Leach's great illustrations from his and Randy Zimmerman's recent adaptation of the Shadow Kingdom, and of course, Evangel's work here in Scourge of the Serpent No. 2. Brule laughed. For 2 reasons, King Kull. No snake man wears this, he indicated the dragon armlet, nor can any say these words. And again Kull heard the strange phrase, Kanamaka Lajarama. Kanamaka Lajarama, Kull repeated mechanically. Now where in Volka's name have I heard that? I have not, and yet. Aye, you remember, Kull, said Brule. Through the dim corridors of memory those words lurk, though you never heard them in this life. Yet in the bygone ages they were so terribly impressed upon the soul mind that never dies, that they will always strike dim chords in your memory, though you be reincarnated for 1,000,000 years to come. For that phrase has come secretly down the grim and bloody eons, since when, uncounted centuries ago, those words were watchwords for the race of men who battled with the grisly beings of the Elder Universe. For none but a real man of men may speak them, whose jaws and mouth are shaped different from any other creature. Their meaning has been forgotten, but not the words themselves. Skipping ahead. Suddenly, like the silent swinging wide of a mystic door, misty, unfathomed reaches opened in the recesses of his consciousness, and for an instant he seemed to gaze back through the vastness that spanned life and life, seeing through the vague and ghostly fog's dim shapes, reliving dead centuries, men in combat with hideous monsters, vanquishing a planet of frightful terrors. Against a gray, ever-shifting background moved strange nightmare forms, fantasies of lunacy and fear, and man, the jest of gods, the blind, wisdomless striver from dust to dust, following the long bloody trail of his destiny, knowing not why, bestial, blundering like a great murderous child, yet feeling somewhere a spark of divine fire. Skipping ahead again. "They are gone," said Brule, as if scanning his secret mind. "The bird women, the harpies, the batmen, the flying fiends, the wolf people, the demons, the goblins, all save such as this being that lies at our feet, and a few of the wolf-men. Long and terrible was the war, lasting through the bloody centuries, since the first men, risen from the mire of apedom, turned upon those who then ruled the world." Among the many great things in Howard's The Shadow Kingdom, it's the recounting of this antediluvian past that most captured my imagination upon first reading the story, and it's obviously a source of inspiration for so many others. With issue number 2 of Conan, Scourge of the Serpent, Jim Zub continues his faithful slow burn adaptation of 3 favorite Robert E. Howard stories, The Shadow Kingdom, The God in the Bull, and The Haunter of the Ring. Fans of the pulp author will be pleased with the respect Zub pays to the original material. I feel there is an imminent crescendo of Zub's own creativity that's taking form here, placing significant onus on issue number 3 to solidify his vision in advance of what will likely be an action-packed closing issue number 4. Meanwhile, Evangel continues to shine. It's as if he's reaching directly into my imagination, plucking imagery at will, then manifesting and augmenting it for the larger audience. It's just great. And Jao Canola's colors nail the nuance of setting and mood. Jim Zub's measured yet faithful approach to Robert E. Howard's original works builds towards a crescendo, hinting that issue number 3 will finally pull back the mask to reveal his full creative vision for this event series. And personally, I can't wait. Thanks for watching, liking, consider subscribing. Be sure to check out the Robert E. Howard Foundation's fundraising initiative to save the Howard House. Momentum continues to build. And until next time, take it easy, you Stygian dogs.